My name is Stacy. I'm the program director at Stony Kill Farm, which is located in Wappingers Falls, New York. We're in Dutchess County, and we have been a working farm since the late 1600s. And today I'm going to show you how to hand felt a honeybee. And we're going to be using wool from the sheep that are raised here at Stony Kill. We currently raise Tunis sheep, and we do have Tunis mixed breeds in with our flock. We have, in the past, we've bred our Tunis with Dorset sheep. So many of our sheep look Dorset, which is a more husky, larger breed that has a white face and generally a white undercoat. And the Tunis sheep are actually more red in the face and body. Both breeds are multi-purpose breeds, which means they are bred for meat and for wool. And today I'm going to show you how to use their wool. Both breeds actually have very coarse wool, not super ideal for knitting or crocheting. It can be a bit itchy. So we like to use our wool for felting. And it is a very easy wool to felt. So today, that's what we're gonna do. And I have here, this is actually some raw wool. This is what it looks like before it's been cleaned, processed, and combed. And what combing does is it combs out all the fibers. It also cleans a lot of the grass pieces that you can see in here. And obviously cleaning does the same thing. It cleans the wool. We use very warm water, and we do 3 washes using your typical laundry detergent, although we try to use one that's good for the environment. And smells nice too. So we use that. We do 3 washes in warm to hot water, and that removes the lanolin that is in the wool, which will sometimes make it more difficult to comb, felt, or spin if you were going to use it for yarn. So this is what it looks like before it's been processed and cleaned. And then once it's been cleaned and combed, this is what you're left with, which is a much different material. It's much fluffier. It does still have a lot of the little pieces in there. Typically, if you're going to use the wool, before you process it, you're going to completely pick out as much as you can. It's a great job for a kid to do. They get to pick all the little pieces of grain and grass in there. And then we comb it out. And we use these hand carders that are very nice. And we take a little bit of our wool. Now, obviously this isn't clean, but we can still comb it out a little bit so you can see how the process goes. So you just put some of your wool, you kind of latch it onto these little combs. And then we're going to use both of them to pull across. We're going to be pulling against each other. And it does give you a really nice arm workout. So we comb it out, and you're left with this beautiful, fluffy fiber. You can see the difference right away. Okay, so we are going to use our fluffy, combed and cleaned fiber. And for dry felting, you're going to need a piece of foam. If you don't have a piece of foam, you can very easily use a beach towel or a bath towel, and you just fold it up onto itself to give it a little bit of cushion, because you're going to be using a very sharp felting needle. These are extremely sharp, and because you're going to be poking your wool, I recommend that if children are going to do this, you should probably be at least 10 or older, and you should definitely be supervised by an adult because you can easily poke your finger. I've done it many times. You can be as careful as you can, but if you look away 1 second, you can easily puncture your finger, okay? So that's my recommendation. Either adults do this or a child needs to be supervised. So, and I like to keep my needle right in my foam. So to make our felted honeybee, I'm going to be using 2 different fibers, simply because I just haven't dyed this Tunis fiber another color, because our honeybees are going to have the body and then they're also going to have their stripes. So we want the stripe to be a different color. So this is another type of wool sample that I have. This is a Romney wool, and this is the color. This is not dyed, this is the natural color, and it's a Romney sheep. So you can see it's already been brushed out. It's almost like a beautiful silvery gray. This is what I'm going to use for the stripes because it's nice. There's a nice contrast there. So I just take a little bit of my fiber and we want to get it into, let me move this. We want to get it into the shape of a honeybee, which would be sort of an oval shape. So I'm going to sort of roll and wrap my wool until it is almost like the form of, or the shape of a bee. Now we're not doing the typical sections of the bee, we're just doing one body. We're doing a simple bee. Okay, so you can see I have a little form here. It's sort of cylindrical, okay? And I'm going to hold it like that. We're going to put the Romney wool aside. We're going to do that later. And then we're going to get our foam right in front of us and get our needle ready. So now that we have our wool balled up, I like to put it right onto my felt or my towel if you have a towel set up. This way you don't poke yourself with your felting needle. So what you're going to do is you're going to start poking up and down using your needle and watching out for your fingers. And as you're doing this, all the fibers are going to start to felt together. Sometimes I like to turn it over and do the seam first, you know, where your 2 ends met to make your cylindrical form so that it holds together right away. Now you can make your honeybee as big or as small as you want, depending on how much fiber you have. We make these as ornaments, so I usually put string on them, fishing line to hang from the tree, but I've also seen people hang them in their windows. You can hang it anywhere in the house, really. So as I'm poking up and down, my form is starting to come together. I don't really need to hold the seam together anymore. It's starting to get a little lumpy, which is fine, but it's starting to also get a little more solid. Again, I'm putting it on its end, but I'm being really careful as I go up and down, not to hit my finger. I'm kind of holding the pieces on the edge and avoiding my fingertips. You're gonna keep doing this, and you're gonna find that, you know, I've started with a larger size and it has gotten a bit smaller because all your fibers are felting into each other. And so it's becoming more dense. You'll feel that it's getting a little bit more hard. It's not as soft as it was. So I put my needle aside. So this is my body of my bee. And now I'm going to take some of that lovely silvery brown Romney wool, and I'm going to pull it. I don't need much. This is actually probably a little too much, but I want you to really see it. I have a nice long strip here, okay? So that's going to be one of my stripes. So I'm going to take my bee and I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to do 2 stripes. This is a small bee. If you did a larger bee, maybe you could do 3 stripes, but this is pretty small. This is generally the size ornament that we make. And I'm going to wrap it multiple times because I do have a lot here. You can also, you know what, I'm going to start over. You can also, I wouldn't necessarily cut it, but you can kind of sometimes rip it pretty easily. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it, not too tight, because again, we're going to felt it on there. Okay, so I have a nice little loop around there. And now I'm going to do the same thing. Sometimes, again, I like to start where the 2 ends meet so that it is felted on right away, and then I can go around the entire bee and felt the entire stripe. So I'm going to start that way, and you're actually poking your needle into the stripe, and you're going to see how it starts to embed itself into the body of your honeybee. You can see, almost looks like his head. So maybe we'll make this his head. You're just going to keep felting again until you are satisfied. And of course, you want to make sure it doesn't unravel, but this should felt on pretty easily. Okay, so I have 1 stripe done. So now we're going to do the second stripe. And again, I'll take a little bit of my Romney. You can even, sometimes I like to go like this. You're almost kind of felting it on himself doing this. Of course, you're going to get a skinnier stripe if you do that. Okay, and then I take my second stripe and do the same exact thing. We're going to wrap it around, and if it overlaps itself, that's fine. And now I'm going to felt that stripe and just keep poking. Now, I like to give my bee somewhat of a face. Obviously, it's not going to be too detailed. Not that good a felter. But I do like to make some kind of a little indication that this is one end and this is the other. You can even do a little stinger in the back if you want to. Okay, so we have 2 stripes, if you can see. There we go. So now I'm going to do, I think I'm going to choose this area. It's nice and big, and put a face there, or at least an indication that that's the face. So I'm going to take, again, another little bit of Romney. This time, though, I'm going to make a circle. So I'm going to just roll it in my palm until whoop, I get a little ball. And then what I like to do is I like to kind of fold it over on itself to sort of give that insect face shape, almost like a triangle. Okay, I don't know if you can see. I know it's a little difficult to see. But I'm going to take that. It does look very big compared to our honeybee, But of course, when I felt it on, it's gonna start to shrink a little bit. So I'm gonna hold my honeybee up on its end, and I'm gonna just place this on there. Again, you gotta be really careful because you don't wanna get your fingers. And I'm just gonna start poking this. And you can almost kind of shape it as you're doing it. You can fold it under and sort of shape it to how you want it to look. So you can see already, I've only done a few pokes in there, but it's already secured to the front of my honeybee, or the front end of my honeybee. If you want to do your little stinger, I usually just do a little felt dot basically. And again, I'm going to rub this in between. And I'm going to pop it right on the butt, right on the end. Now this is really small. You really want to be careful. And it's about the easiest one though. Took about 10 seconds, not even. There's his little stinger. Today we're just gonna do 2 wings so you can get the idea. So I like to take my tunis wool and I roll it, pull a little bit off, and I'm almost making one long, somewhat cylindrical piece, okay? So you can kind of see. But instead of doing it directly on my bee, I'm gonna felt it on my foam first and make it flat and long, okay? So I just put it here. Now, as I'm doing this, I wanna be careful that it doesn't totally stick to my felt or the towel that you're felting on. So I like to pick it up after doing a few taps. So you can see already it's sort of become flat. And I'm gonna keep doing that, and you can make them smaller if you want to. Like I said, sometimes it's pretty easy to shape it, and as it's felting, it's gonna start to naturally get small. There. Now we're going to attach them to our bee. So just make sure your face is the way the direction you want it, the orientation you want it to be. So this is the way I want my face to be. That's his face. So this is the top of my bee. And I'm going to take my wing and just hold it on the top, you can see. And I'm simply going to felt down the middle because I don't want to attach the wings completely to the bee. They need to be free flying wings. So you only want to attach right down the middle, almost like you're felting a spine into the back of your wings. Okay. Really simple. There is your felted bee. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoy making your felted bee. And we love to see your posts to see how your bees come out. So please take pictures and post them. And if you can tag Stony Kill Foundation, we can check out all the bees that are going to be made over the holidays.